Recently, in some of my reading, I ran across a quote by Mark Twain that said, "I've had lots of worries in my life, and very few of them actually happen." Particularly these days, I don't know about you, but when I do watch the news, which I do as little of as possible, I rarely see any good news, great information, things to be happy about. And as I looked at this quote, it reminded me of a conversation that I had not long ago with some of our clients where we talked about inflation. And in reality, while there's all this talk of inflation, and it's a real thing, inflation is actually really different for each of us because we buy different things and things inflate at different rates. So the inflation rate on the things that I buy may be significantly higher or lower than yours. And so it kind of led me down a little bit of a rabbit hole to think about the fact that the news media, there's a saying in news. My wife, as many of you know, is a former journalist: if it bleeds, it leads, which means if it'll grab some headlines and people are going to pay attention to it, it's the first thing that we're talking about. And right now, there are lots of economic things to talk about that aren't particularly positive or could cause worry. And, for us as investors, worry is not something that is productive. To be conscientious is, to have a plan is, but worry isn't. And so if you've ever seen any of my live presentations, I have a slide that I typically show, a graphic of the emotional roller coaster. And I talk about the fact that we're always on the roller coaster, whether we're at the top and we're euphoric, or if we're at the bottom where we're despondent. But that's part of the process. But I also recently ran across a new picture. I want to show this to you. It's from a recent conference, and it shows the difference between what I feel like is kind of the role of the news media and the role of the financial advisor. If you look on the left, by the way, the guy in the middle is a guy by the name of Carl Richards, who does financial cartoons for the New York Times. And this is one of his kind of sketches. On the left, you can see how things look on any given period of days. And I think that's kind of the way that the media reports things and things that we see if we just click on the news. On the other hand, on the right-hand side is what we are charged with in viewing things through the perspective as your advisors, of looking at decades and looking at the totality of your situation. And if you take that drawing on the left, in reality, it's a small part of the drawing on the right. They're both, that period of time is represented in both graphics. But by looking at the bigger picture, I think that it's evident that as your advisors, our job is to look at decades. For most of you watching, you have a signature life plan, and times like these are included in that. However, it's also completely understandable if you do watch the news and you have concerns to let us know so that we can talk about, really, because what is most important is not what's going on today, it's how what's going on today can impact you. And looking at, our role is to focus on the bigger picture. I often say that the three most important things kind of in success in our world are to know your purpose, to have a plan, and to trust the process. And we have a proven process that we have used for years in terms of our planning process, and have seen many people go through and be able to retire with confidence. And a big part of that is working with you to know your purpose and to build that plan out so that the process works. And we have lots of experience with that. But most importantly, more than right now being concerned with the news of the day, if you have concerns, let us know so that we can give you some perspective on how the news of today actually impacts you. And if there are changes, what we need to change to make sure that you can continue to be confident. As always, we are here as a resource, not only for you, but for your friends and family, coworkers and colleagues. If you or anybody needs us, we're here to be a resource. Please don't hesitate to call us or to point them in our direction. Of course, any friend of yours is a friend of ours. and we're happy to give them 30 minutes of our time, no questions asked. So if you need anything, let us know. Otherwise, we will see you again next month.